Race 2 for the BRSCC Fiesta Championship is about to get underway. Jamie White is on pole for Class Ds, but it's Harry Gooding and Danny Harrison who are going to make it interesting now in the front row for the Class Cs. So I'll hand you over to our race commentator Richard John Neal to talk you through the action.
Thanks, Anthony. Here's the grid headed by Danny Harrison and Harry Gooding from Tom Hutchins and Charles Plumley. Ryan Falconbridge with Jamie going next from Miles Baker and Bradley Kent. Robert Stevens next up from David Nye, Richard Ashmole and Tim Glover. Jamie White, John Cooper on pole position for Class D from Zachary Lucas and Class A man Mark Court. Luke Bannister, Marco Ricci, Tim Bennett and Colin Newbold due to complete the grid. The red lights are on now. Out go the lights and we're on board here with Zachary Lucas momentarily, the 23, but it's a good start from all concerned. A little bit of nerve-wracking. There on the outside line is the lone Class A car, the man from Westcliff, Mark Court, who took the class win in race 1. He's the only Class A starter in this one. But it's Danny Harrison that leads, Harry Gooding in second, Jamie Going is going around the outside at Druids in the white car. Back on board with Zachary Lucas on lap number 1. It all seems fairly good. We've got Jamie White in front of him at the moment. Now, is Jamie White leading Class D? What a sensational finish it was in race number 1 to Class D. And it looks like John Cooper has got the upper hand in the start here of race 2 for Class D. But the race leader is Danny Harrison. He's out of shot, comes into shot now. Harry Gooding next. Then Charles Plumley in third place. Plumley looking along the inside line. Harrison picking the line that he wants. Not really under any big pressure at the moment. Stonking first lap from Harrison. We've got some side-by-side action down the field, and it looks as if it's Jamie White going around the outside line with John Cooper on the inside a little bit further back. White was the second in shot of the green car. It's a bit pointless me referring to that now because you can't see it, but maybe we will as they come up the hill. The green car there is Tom Hutchins, who's further back than he was in race number 1. Bradley Kent in the mix as well as we join Zachary Lucas once again. So it's Harrison, Gooding, Plumley, Jamie Going, Ryan Falconbridge, Miles Baker next up in the black and white car. Welcome back, Miles. Didn't properly say it in race number 1, but a race winner on Anglesey back in 2016. We're not racing at Anglesey this year. Also took a podium at Rockingham, and that's the meeting after next on the weekend of the 24th of June. So I think Miles Baker will be looking forward to that, as well as trying to make a little bit of ground on the rest of the field as Harrison continues to lead here, and things actually looking relatively settled. And after race number 1, I keep telling drivers, if you have a bad race, a bad fortune in a race, eventually the good luck will come to you, and the similar thing happens with chaotic races. I'm not really, I guess, calling race 1 chaotic, but there was a lot of incident. Certainly you'd have to say that with 3 starts, but this one looking a lot more settled. The drivers are pretty much in the groove now. They're all starting in the position that they finished in race number 1, and they can get on with their respective battles, and there are some battles, of course, down the field. Bradley Kent at the moment ahead of Tom Hutchins. This will be the first time that Tom's engaged in the same class with Bradley. Bradley's brother, of course, was one of the front runners and race winners last year, Lewis Kent, who raced well in. Oh, and off goes Hutchins, a little moment off onto the grass, and gets a little bit bouncy. Look how much ground he's lost on the white and orange car of Bradley Kent. That little mistake really punishing. And when the cars are running closely, that just shows you how very, very consistent and fast these drivers are, because one little mistake can lose you a fair bit of ground, as we saw happen there. Mark Court goes through shot. This is the Class D battle for the lead, and it's John Cooper, and I remind you that these two were nip and tuck right the way to the end, and the green car of the reigning champion number 1, the man from Elsenham, Jamie White, nipped through on the line. A grandstand finish to take the class win, and of course it doesn't matter if you're in second place all the way through the opening laps, as long as you're in the lead when you pass the flag, which is exactly what Jamie did in race number 1. So his defence of the championship title has started very well indeed. Jamie following former class champions Alistair Kellett, David Nye, who incidentally is out of this race again. So David Nye having a carbon copy almost of last year's opening round with some non-finishes. It does mean that he will have to finish all the other races this year. There are drop scores, but only so many, of course, that you can have. David Nye, multi-champion in Fiestas, was the Class A champion as well back in 2009. And there are so many different options for drivers coming into this championship as we watch the Class D battle this for the newer Ford Fiesta Zetec S 3-door 1600cc. It is, of course, the Fiesta, the Class C cars that head the way, the STs that head the way in terms of speed. So there is that dilemma, as I mentioned in our coverage of race 1, that do you go for the newer shape, the Class Ds, or a race with the historically faster Class C cars, which these guys are doing. From my point of view, it's great that we've got drivers in both categories, because it gives us 2 class championships that we can focus on and enjoy throughout the whole of the season, and we've done that for many years. Class D has been with us, incidentally, since 2013, when David Abbott, the great David Abbott, you won't like me saying that, but he's a great British club racing driver, and we've got a fair few. Yellow flags being waved there. White and blue, is that Luke Bannister who's out? And that's at Druids. He looks fairly fresh, the marks in the gravel at Druids. We're still watching Charles Plumley running in 3rd place. Jamie Going, the Jam Sport team boss behind him. Miles Baker not really in touch with it at the moment. We've got a 3-car train behind them, but Plumley coming under pressure from Jamie Going, who was a race winner last year. Quite emotional that was. Was it Snetterton, I think, if memory serves? I'll have to dig the notes out, but everybody pleased to see Jamie get a win as Danny Harrison continues to try and pull away in this 20-minute race. Remember the race format here. 20-minute races by and large for these cars. All that was left of the elapsed time from the first 2 starts of the first race was just over 10 minutes. But by and large, 20 minutes of track time allocated, which is a terrific BRSCC initiative. Ryan Falconbridge coming under pressure here from Bradley Kent, and right in behind as well is the green car of Tom Hutchins. So Kent piling the pressure on at the moment, not that far behind Miles Baker, but the 3 of them, they need to sort themselves out if they want to try and close up on the leading group of drivers. Danny Harrison away and clear at the moment. And Tom Hutchins, we know, after taking the podium in race number 1, after that penalty for Charles Plumley. Charles Plumley and the car in the middle of the group we were looking at, because we're back now with the race leader, both succumbing to track limits penalties in race number 1. And that meant that Tom Hutchins took a podium. Not bad for a debut in Class C, moving across rather than up into Class C from Class D from last year. But masterclass here from the Mutation Motorsport man Danny Harrison. And Greg from Mutation was telling me that they've done a bit of testing on these tyres to try and get the best out of them, and it seems to be paying off. Greg was also telling me that the MRF tyre man is, as off goes Bradley Kent. I'll come back to tyres a little bit later on, but Bradley goes off the circuit and out of that 3-way battle. I'm not sure how it affected the other drivers, but we're in car now once again with Danny Harrison down the main straight. He's going to start catching traffic in this race. He'll catch some of the some of the Class A runners. There is only one, isn't there? Mark Court. Maybe some of the runners a little bit further down the order in Class D at various points in the race as well. Harrison, we saw, that's how he got the lead in race number 1, taking that dive up the inside into Druids, getting into some of the traffic. So Tim Bennett is the first man to be passed. There is the 16 car. So Tim again, good driving, and the race leader Danny Harrison goes through and past Tim Bennett, who's running currently in 5th position in Class D. Just to confirm that the retirees in this race, Luke Bannister, we saw that car, or the tail end of the car, off at Druids, and if you watch the shots you might see it. And David Nye is out as well, which is a shame. David Nye retiring on lap 3, Luke Bannister going out on lap 5. Reckon we should have 20-ish laps in terms of the timing, and don't have to be a mathematician to work that one out. The lap times here are just under a minute, and it's a 20-minute race. So as you said, there's confirmation it was indeed Luke Bannister. We saw the 20 car there at Druids. So Harrison again down Graham Hill, through Graham Hill Bend, lifts that inside wheel and goes along Cooper Straight. Harry Gooding, who's had a pretty good debut here for senior, with a 2nd position in race number 1. and a very good qualifying, and it is really about slogging away over the course of the season. We've got a fair old number of rounds to get through. I'm very pleased to say, looking at the calendar, that the last round of the year is back here at Brands Hatch, which is, last year we wound up elsewhere. I think it was Donington last year, but the home for this Formula, for my mind, is the Formula Ford Festival. And okay, they're not single-seaters, but it's the Ford, it's the blue oval, it's the badge. And we love that meeting that the BRSCC put on each year here at Brands Hatch. Harrison the leader, and looking to take his second win. We're notching towards the halfway point of this race. The clock's ticking down, so he's doing all the work thus far. Got into the lead. Had to pass one car so far, which was Tim Bennett running 5th in Class D. Wondering if Tim had an off, because he's a little way behind some of the runners. And I reckon Danny caught him fairly quickly. Still Harry Gooding in second place. Danny Harrison's best lap on lap 4, a 56.288, is at the moment the best lap of the race. So is he going to record a second fastest lap of the meeting as we ride on board with him? Fastest lap in Class D for race number 1 was Jamie White, and like I say, it's you only got to pop in one fastest lap to take the fastest lap and be on the lead on one lap, which is the last lap, to take the class win, which is what he did. And unsurprisingly, Mark Court, of course, taking class win and fastest lap in Class A. Harrison with clear track, working well, so this is really like a testing session for him at the moment. We'll have a look in his mirrors, and if you look at this great onboard shot, you can't actually see what's going on in the mirrors, but you can see the focus in the eyes of Danny Harrison. Charles Plumley still there from Jamie Going. Miles Baker hasn't been able to get in touch with those. The second place man here, Harry Gooding in the 56 car. Looks like he might be safe and sound for another podium. This will show you how the race is shaping up. There's the race leader, Harry Gooding second. Massive gap back to third place, and heading the more mature drivers, shall we say, is Charles Plumley. A lot of championships run with a Masters class for older drivers or a graduate class for youngers to try and encourage the more senior drivers out. We still have a very wide age demographic in this championship. Lots of youngsters, lots of drivers in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and dare I say older as well. So if you're watching this and thinking that all I'm talking about is drivers moving up from Fiesta Junior, it's not the case. We've got drivers of all age ranges and experience, and a very welcoming environment for you to come and race in. Jamie Going trying to do everything he can to get on the podium, but at the moment Charles Plumley looks like he is going to be determined to get a podium and hang on to it. He'll be mindful of the track limits that he had as the battle for Class D. A little bit of rally crossing there for Jamie White, the defending champion. It's still John Cooper, the man from Ossett, who leads this one. And Jamie White trying to challenge him very, very robustly. Bit of traffic to deal with for the race leader, who goes down into Graham Hill Bend, negotiating the traffic particularly well. Zachary Lucas in the 23 machine, the next car to be passed. Robert Stevens in the mix as well there. Another new name to the championship to me, Robert Stevens, so we welcome him. But Harrison successfully negotiated that group. Mark Court is in the mix as well in the yellow Class A car, the mid-1990s Mark III Fiesta SIs, running with an 1800cc engine. And a very good qualifying performance from the Class A's in the wet. And you do see the wet does become a great leveller between the classes. So Harrison still out front, and at the moment still with the fastest lap. Harry Gooding is second. He goes through in the blue and orange car. Mark Court getting stuck in, and that again is a good thing. Although Mark Court's the only Class A runner in this race, there were two for the meeting. Class A's can get stuck in with some of the newer drivers in Class D or indeed Class C. Charles Plumley still there in third place, and we've got a change now for fourth position because Miles Baker is ahead of Jamie Going. We're back on Harry Gooding, who leads the chase of Danny Harrison in second position. So Gooding still in second, and it looks like he's going to bang in yet another podium. Very impressive senior debut for Harry Gooding. Harry having cleared Marco Ricci in the 50 car, another newcomer. Marco running 4th place in class for Class D. John Cooper still heading that one with Jamie White in 2nd. Zachary Lucas running in 3rd place in Class D at the moment. But here's an almost iconic view coming up the hill into Druids, Halewood Hill into Druids, out of Druids, down Graham Hill towards the left-hander here at Graham Hill Bend. This is where Danny had that moment on the very slippery surface at the start, the 3rd start of race number 1, but no problems for him, no problems too for Harry Gooding in the 56. Those two having negotiated some of the Class D and the Class A runner successfully. Nearly 3/4 distance on this one here at Brands Hatch for the opening 3 races of the 2017 BRSCC Fiesta Championship. I tell you what, I don't think the gap is getting any bigger. So Gooding is pinning Harrison back here. He goes through. Now let's watch and see where the 3rd place car is. These cars dicing for their positions a little bit further down the field. But 3rd place is Plumley coming under pressure from Miles Baker. And you saw the black and white car, which is Baker, who's got away a little bit from Jamie Going in the all-white 5th position car. But Miles Baker starting a bit of a run here. And getting up amongst the traffic. Mark Court is the first of those to be passed. Then Robert Stevens in the 89 car. So Miles Baker running well. Charles Plumley, I think his first meeting in front-wheel drive, certainly raced BMWs before, and I think I remember him racing in Ginetta Challenge, possibly Mazdas as well. And it is a culture shock having to go to front-wheel drive, but a racer is a racer. And he's certainly a quick one, still vying for this podium, going past Zachary Lucas, who's running in 3rd position in Class D. So Zachary, he's got a bit of space, hasn't he, on that? So he could be on for a podium here, Zachary Lucas. 3rd in Class D, could be a good one for him. He took that, of course, actually took that in race 1 as well, 3rd place in class. But Miles Baker challenging hard. Those two definitely do seem to be dropping Jamie Going. Meanwhile, Danny Harrison, he's still out front in the 18 car. So Harrison the race leader, Harry Gooding in 2nd place, 3rd position still Charles Plumley from Miles Baker. Harrison changes down as he comes into Paddock Hill Bend. We go back and have a look. Pretty settled in Class D. John Cooper not being harried at the moment by Jamie White, so White is the chaser. If that stays the way that it is at the moment, we are getting towards the closing stages of this race. It'll be 1 win apiece between the Simply Car Sales 88 of John Cooper and the defending champion, the man who raced in car 45 last year, but takes on the number 1 of the overall champion, Jamie White. Danny Harrison still running superbly here, and out front there is John Cooper again in Class D. So Cooper in the Daniels Motorsport prepared car, looks like he is going to grab the win. It's Richard Ashmole incidentally in front of him, the 2010 Racing entered car who we saw in the gravel. Won't thank me for mentioning that, but Richard Ashmole, the point for mentioning it is that Richard Ashmole has come back from that and he's running at the moment in 7th position. So Ashmole has made a little bit of progress, having dealt with a couple of the Class C cars, and off the circuit, having had the fastest lap of the race, is Tom Hutchins. Hutchins gets the fastest lap, but he's lost out there. Whether he got a bit too confident or whether conditions have caught him out, I don't know, but Tom Hutchins is out of the race. The man who took a podium in race number 1 is out as we rejoin Danny Harrison. So there are going to be yellows where Hutchins is parked up. That's 4 retirees in this race. David Nye on lap 3, Luke Bannister we saw off, Bradley Kent has retired as well, and now Tom Hutchins. That's a shame, that really is a shame, because the more the merrier on track, and Tom won't want to be thinking too much about drop scores. As we said, it's too early in the season to have to start worrying about that, and it can limit the amount of chances you take later on in the year. Somebody who hasn't had to though is Danny Harrison, who repeating what he did here at Brands Hatch last year, the opening race of the year, in terms of the win. He didn't grab pole today, that went to Harry Gooding, but Gooding repeating history in terms of being a junior graduate, taking pole position here. He's still in second place, but Danny Harrison on his last tour. See if he can get fastest lap back from Tom Hutchins. That's going to be a little bit of consolation for the driver of the 29 car. But Harrison looks like it's going to be 2 out of 2 for Mutation Motorsport. You can see they're going past that zone, the green flag being shown after wave yellows. Harrison makes the run down towards the checkered flag, which is being readied now. Harrison makes it 2 out of 2. He leads the championship after 2 races. Harry Gooding, I think, has got closer as the race has gone on. So he goes through. Tim Bennett is the next car coming towards us. So we're looking for the 3rd place car, the all-black machine of Charles Plumley. Gets his first proper podium, barring any judicial problems with track limits. Miles Baker 4th, Jamie Going in white is 5th. Then we get Zachary Lucas, who takes 3rd place, the red car, 3rd place in Class D. Ryan Falconbridge is next. Then Robert Stevens crosses the line from Mark Court, the Class A winner. Let's have a look at the official result. Don't think there are any penalties at all in that one. Harrison the winner, Harry Gooding 2nd, Charles Plumley and Miles Baker. Jamie Going 5th from Ryan Falconbridge and Richard Ashmole. John Cooper wins Class D. Then it was Jamie White, Zachary Lucas, Robert Stevens in 11th from Mark Court, Marco Ricci and Tim Bennett completing the finishers in 14th place. Fastest lap, Tom Hutchins.
Danny, 2 out of 2 for the season opener. You're making it look easy.
Yeah, it's going well for us really. 2 wins is a lot of points from the championship going into the next round at Cadwell, which will be very difficult as it's a tight track. But it's a perfect start to the season. It's exactly what we wanted. Done a lot of testing here, so we've got what we wanted.
Can you get anything more out of that car? You're pushing it right to the limits.
We can get a little bit more, but not too much without making too many mistakes. So we're on the edge right now, and it's going to stay that way.
Well, congratulations, go and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Harry, 2nd place again. What can you do to catch Danny?
I know, just got to try and push a bit harder, go back, look over all the data, see where we're losing out. Got a bit we've got to try and do with the car, but hopefully we'll be able to keep with him and overtake him in race 3.
Yeah, I was watching you from trackside and I've never seen a Fiesta hop side to side across this track before. You must have been pushing it to the limits. Yeah,
I was pushing it as hard as I can, but it's not quite right yet, so hopefully we can dial it properly in and get that win.
Yeah, well, 1 more race to go this weekend. Good luck.
Thank you.
Charles, 2 podiums out of 2 races. Great start to the season. 1 more race to come. What can you do to catch the 2 in front?
Those boys are quick. You know, they've got the experience of seat time in the car. So I'm totally new to the car. I'm really pleased with the 3rd. You know, obviously I'd love to win, but you know, 3rd for first time out in front wheel drive, first time in the Fiesta. Didn't really have any testing time either. A lot of thanks to Daniels Motorsport for putting together a great car. That really helped me. And thanks to my wife for letting me be here. You know, I'm doing it for the old folks. You know, these young boys. You know, they're so quick coming out of juniors. It's a great training ground for them. As you've seen, and you know, yeah, they'll probably go on to bigger and better things as well.
What's the contrast like between, because you used to race in the BMW Compact Cup, rear wheel drive, front engine, now you're in a front wheel drive, front engine Fiesta?
Yeah, it's totally different. I had to get my head dialed into it pretty quickly, which was quite a steep learning curve. But the car is a great car. You know, it's a great championship. It's the sort of thing that, you know, people can, you know, with a smaller budget, no, motor racing is cheap, but a smaller budget, get into motor racing and really get out there and have some fun. So rear wheel drive, front wheel drive, doesn't matter what you've driven before, you'll enjoy this.
Yeah, as long as you're having fun.
as long as you're having fun, that's why we're here.
Yeah, well, congratulations for your 3rd place. Go and enjoy it.
Great, thank you.